describe the feeling of intuition?
Okay. Okay, so the feeling of intuition for me is just really getting into this space of wisdom, and it's just a place of peace and calmness is how I would say. It's just really, intuition to me means inner wisdom. That's what it means to me.
So how does it feel to you?
How does it feel?
Pause after she finishes talking.
So how it feels is just, I feel it in my heart space here, and it feels very calm. There's no fear inside when I am in that heart space of intuition, and I just feel at peace, even if there's other opinions, if there's other things that are fearful surrounding me. I myself feel peaceful.
Can you share a story of when your intuition informed you and you listened?
Yes. So I am going to talk about kind of my birth story a little bit. So I have 4 kids, and my first baby, so my mom had 7 children all naturally, and I just figured I'd be the same as her. And so when I had my first child, I was pregnant with her, she was breech. And the doctor I had probably wasn't the most compassionate of doctors, and she just said I need to have a C-section no matter what. And I was very fearful about doing that, and I really wanted to be able to have a child naturally. And so we tried everything. I crawled on the floor for hours. I hung upside down for hours. I went to a chiropractor to try and have her turned. I actually got another doctor to try and manually turn her. And you probably know what that's called, but I can't remember what it's called. So we tried that, and it didn't work. And so I ended up having a C-section. And so that was pretty traumatic in and of itself, and I kind of went through like a deep sadness, and it was probably postpartum as well, after having her, and she was in such shock too. She was a very colicky baby, and I was told that after I had her, I would have to have a C-section every time now after having a baby, and that did not feel right to me, and I knew that my body could have a baby naturally. So I had to go to quite a few doctors. Sorry, that's my phone. Should we pause? Can you get my phone?
Everybody can turn their phones off if they're not.
Thank you. That's my hubby. Okay. All right, so where was I? So, yes, so when I was pregnant with my second, I had to go to quite a few doctors. And there was quite a few who were not willing to let me do something called a VBAC, which is vaginal birth after C-section. And there was one doctor in particular who wanted me to sign a contract that said I was okay if my C-section ruptured and I drowned my baby. Like, he wanted me to sign that before he even tried. And for me, it felt like that was more of like his insecurities, instead of, and I didn't feel like, if he was feeling insecure about me having to sign a contract like that, I wasn't going to go to him. So I actually found some really great midwives, and I had to travel to have this baby. I stayed with my mother-in-law, but they were willing for me to have my babies vaginally. And so I have had the last 3 VBAC, and it has been so healing and so beautiful. With this one, I did decide to have, I forget what it's called, where they put it in your back, epidural, because with all 3 of them, just in case something did rupture. But what's really cool is, I guess I'm lucky, I could feel my legs, and I could feel like when my body was ready to push. And so with my last one, with this Violet here, come here, Vi, come here a second. So with this one, it was so healing to me because the midwife let me go on all 4s and have her on all 4s with the gravity, and it was amazing to not be on my back, to just have gravity work with me. And I cried and cried because it was just so healing to me just to be able to have that type of birth. So I would say, even if you're told one way, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for you, and you do need to follow your intuition on any circumstance that you feel is a better way for yourself.
Can I just say I love this? Yeah, I'm like wanting to cheer at the moment. So let's just take a little look around. Everybody do a clap.
Thank you.
She told me no. You gotta make the circle complete now. This circle has to be complete. Okay, so I want to, can you move that tripod? It's bugging me, or whatever the heck it is.
This?
Easel, yeah. Just take it out and put it away. Get it over there. This is not in the shot. Thanks. Okay, we keep on going. Okay, we're just recording, so it's good. I'm leaning on you. Is that okay? Okay. Okay.
So why do you believe it's important to trust your intuition?
Trusting your intuition is so important because that is the deep wisdom within you. That's like your true higher self. And I would say your intuition keeps you safe from negative influence, from negative relationships that are not serving you. There's just so many reasons why it's important to follow your intuition. It is what keeps you safe and what keeps you centered in this world.
I need you to say that again because that's really important. And I need you to look right at the camera, like you're looking at these women, hundreds and thousands of them, and you're telling them this. It's going to help them make good decisions.
Okay, can do.
Okay.
Okay, so why intuition is important is because it is what makes you,
Start again. Yeah.
So why intuition is important is because it is your inner wisdom, it's your higher self, and it is what keeps you safe and what keeps you away from negativity, from toxicity in your life, keeps you away from toxic relationships. There's many times in my life where my intuition has led me to on the right path of where I need to go and who I need to be and what I need to do.
Perfect. Okay, then let's keep going. So this is a question for the group. This will just settle down.
Okay, this is a question for the group.
This is a bit noisy with stuff, and I'm just wondering, could we?
You can actually switch it with this one,
Yeah.
which is less
'Cause
noisy.
then she can, do you want to sit on that and try it?
It's actually super soft and nice.
Perfect. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just, I'll have Angie read the question, and then just put your hand up if you have an answer, and I'll film you. And then Rachel, do you mind just following along, whatever? Okay.
Okay, first question. How did you know? Okay, let's see. So this is just kind of not really, okay, this is the question. Did what you felt feel right? How did you know the choice you're making or made is or was right?
Okay. And keep going. What's after that? Oh, that's a separate one. Okay, so basically this question is just, when you made a decision that was based on intuition, how did you know it was right? Does anybody have a response to that? If we don't, we'll just move on. We can go back, because I want it to be really organic, so we're not going to force anything. Okay, go ahead and read
Okay, the next one is trusted your intuition. Can you think of a time when you followed your intuition? Do you have an experience you could share?
Sounds a little easier to answer. Anybody?
I could probably start something. I'll try to keep it short so that I'm not like still
Yeah.
talking in an hour.
No, I won't let you do that.
You know that.
With my first later loss, my first later miscarriage, I was young and I was inexperienced. I didn't have a lot of learning to draw on. And I was really just beginning to find that inner voice, that intuition that that would help me through. And I remember that we were at home, and it was the middle of the night, and it was just my husband and I. And after we had delivered the baby, and we were just holding it in our hand, and just looking at this beautiful, perfectly formed, although very tiny, little person, and something clicked. And I remember saying to my husband, we need to go now. And I said, call my mom so she can come with the other children. The other children were sleeping, and he went to go find the phone, and he came back with the phone, and I said, we can't wait for my mom. We have to go now. And my bleeding had just begun to pour out of me, and I laid down flat. It was my intuition. It was just like, we couldn't wait. We need to go now. And we did. We went right then, and because that was my level where I was at, and I didn't have a lot of things to draw on, but I had my intuition, and we went, and it was the right thing.
That was beautiful. That was lovely. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Okay, let's just keep going.
Can any of you think of a time you went against your social norm in your decision making? Can you think of an experience you could share and what
Doesn't
happened?
have to be about birth, remember.
I do.
You do?
Yep.
And you got a baby too. How cute.
So I grew up pretty much following most social norms, and so going out of that social norm lifestyle is kind of different for me. But after being engaged to my now husband, my mother-in-law over here, she introduced me to the natural birth control method, and that was something I'd never heard of before, and something that everybody told me, like everyone that I talked to, my mom, the doctors, people in my church, like they would all say, you're gonna get pregnant, you're gonna have a honeymoon baby, like, and if that happened, it would have totally been fine for me and my husband. But so we did a lot of praying, I did a lot of research, and we decided that was best for us to try it out. And it's been really awesome to be able to do something that only like 2% of the women that ovulate do. But it's been awesome to be able to know how my body works, be able to know if I'm not like even ovulating that month or what day my period will start, just like things that I never even knew that my body did really, but it's been really awesome to be more connected with it. And we've been married for 6 months and no baby, so even though it would be awesome to have a baby.
Thank you.
I have one.
That was so beautifully done. I'm so impressed. Thank you. That was such a gift for all the women. They're going to see that.
Is this natural birth control method, the one where you do the temperature?
Cool.
That's
And
cool.
mucus too. Mucus is a big sign.
I have one.
Just your fertility.
Oh, you do? Oh,
Yeah.
Angie. Okay.
Yeah.
Angie. Okay, girl.
Be sure to get
Okay, so the question
Wait a
is,
second. You know what? I can't do it in this lighting. I'm sorry, honey.
am I
I have to.
facing the
You
wrong
have
way?
to. Yeah, sorry. We have to get you on that because we need the light from the.
I'll just sit in your lap.
Sorry. Thank you, sweetie. I want you to show up. So yeah.
Okay, the question is going against social norms. And I was educated as an RN and working in pediatric intensive care unit at the hospital in California. And I was indoctrinated about the medical field and especially vaccinations and medications for children, and to the point where I would look down my nose at people who used herbs or people who didn't vaccinate their children. And then I started having these questions. I started hearing some moms say, my child was normal until they were 18 months old. And then I started just contemplating and thinking and talking to a lot of people and started to realize that there was another way. And I did a lot of education, a lot of reading, a lot of studying, and have done 180% turnaround, and to where now haven't vaccinated my children. The first 4 were vaccinated, the last 4 weren't, and they've all been raised very naturally and are now starting to raise their own children that way. So it took a big shift in my way of thinking, and I still work as a nurse, and I still run into a lot of conflict, but I stand strong in what my heart is telling me is the truth. So.
Thank you. I'd like you to say how you came to decide that you wanted to, that you were willing to look at something different. What was that turning point for you, where you were willing to acknowledge Mother Earth and what she had for us to heal?
I don't believe it was a one-time turning point. I believe it was a transition, a little bit at a time, as I talked to more people, did more reading, more research, and it was just a slow process for me, and just listening to my feelings and just the peace that I would feel as I was learning new and alternative ways. And it's really not alternative, it's actually the original. And so just kind of going back to Mother Nature and falling in love with herbs and nature and being out in the wild and wildcrafting, and I've just learned to love nature a little at a time.
Sorry, I have one more question. What do you find that's the benefit of that compared to what you've seen in the hospitals, and what the traditional thing has been in our culture? What do you find are the benefits that you've found?
I think the main thing that I have come to understand is that our Creator created our bodies to heal themselves, and if we give our bodies what it needs or what they need, they will heal. And so for an illness to be a lack of a medicine just doesn't make sense to me anymore. It's a matter of being whole and eating the right foods and having peace and nature and being one with Mother Nature. And did I answer the question?
You sure did. Beautifully too. Thank you, sweetie. That was lovely, and you're so dynamic on screen here. I could
Like,
film
I'm
you
going
all
on
day.
like,
Your
what
eyes
was
are
that
like
first question?
50 shades of light coming out of those eyes.
What is the question on that one?
I know.
How
What
did
was the
just
question?
know? I don't know. It was just trusting your intuition
I have
and
an
knowing.
experience.
Go against social norms. I think that's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh,
Okay, now,
social
sweetheart,
norms.
are
Okay.
you gonna be
So I have to
light
go over
enough?
here?
You know, I think you're gonna be
Okay.
fine.
Yeah,
Actually.
you don't have the
Alright.
light.
Yeah,
of
you're
the
gonna be
window
fine
behind
there.
Okay.
But could we move that tripod? Maybe I'll. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, no, I'm not gonna be happy with that at all. Sorry, guys.
You did it. Move it forward.
I know how I'm gonna feel later. I've done this too many times not to. Okay, where am I? Here.
Okay. I'm going against the social norms. I think sometimes we put our trust in doctors. We put our trust in those who we feel have authority above us and may know a little bit more than we do. But at times, we don't go to our Creator about things. Going against the social norm, one of the social norm is healing. When we have a physical ailment, usually we go to the doctor and he gives us a prescription for what our physical ailment is. But being from the native background, we have in the Navajo way what is called our walk in beauty. And our walk in beauty is to be physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally balanced. And when you are balanced in all of those areas of your life, then you're able to walk in your beauty. If you've got one of those out, then you don't get to walk in your beauty. And as you have a ailment, your body is the barometer that will let you know what is out. And so the social norm in healing is very different from what I understand and what I have learned. For example, there was a friend of mine who had his appendix out, and he, when they went in there and operated and took that out, they found that he had abdominal cancer. And as he had this cancer, there was no cure for that at the time except for send him out of state and have him be cut open and scrape the cancer out of his abdomen. At that point, he did not have the money to be able to do that. The doctor gave him less than 3 months to live. And so he was not very hopeful. They came and asked for some help for me. Now, I'm not from the medical background, but I do trust my intuition, and I trust the Creator, that the Creator knows best for everything. And the Creator knows His children. He knows what those children need to be able to heal themselves if they are to walk on Mother Earth still. His walk on Mother Earth was not done. And so there were different herbs and different things that he needed that balanced him out. And through that intuition and through that that healing of the physical, the spiritual, the mental, and emotional, he is now living over 3 years instead of 3 months. And that is from our Creator. I see it as us using our intuition as what we call being the hollow bone. It's being able to clean out ourselves the most inside of us to be able to have the power of our Creator work through us the most. And all of us can do this, and it is a way that we can support each other and love each other. And through our intuition, we can help each other heal. As we help each other heal, each individual, then families heal, then nations heal. Mother Earth heals. And we are in peace and in balance with ourselves, with others, with Mother Earth, and this makes life more fruitful. So
Hallelujah, baby. Okay,
I love the heart.
alrighty. That was sweet.
Wow.
Lovely, thank you, dear. Okay, we got some more questions. How you doing?
Good.
I want to hear from you again.
Okay.
Keep thinking, keep intuiting if you have anything else to share.
Okay.
It's really nice when you look at the camera. I mean, it's a little bit awkward, but it actually helps because when you're watching it, it's so powerful to have someone looking at you. It really is. It's like the mirroring that we all need. Okay.
This one sentence doesn't quite make
That's a
sense.
mandala. It's a beautiful, kind of like a flower that I like to look at. It's called a mandala. If you want to see. Nikki, you're in the circle, girl. You stayed. You have to be in it now. That's all there is to it. I hope you'll think of something to share because I really want to hear your voice on this film. So please allow yourself to listen to.
So this next one says learned facts, individual needs, and then applied intuition. So where you're seeking out choices and options, and then intuition spoke to you and you knew what you needed to do. After you listened to that intuition, what choices did you make to follow through? Did you have to do some research? Did you have to learn about something new? Question mark.
Okay.
That sounds like what Ambria shared when she was talking
Kind of,
about
yeah.
how she studied it out
Yeah.
and then applied those things.
Yeah. And with the vaccines too,
Yeah.
the same thing there. Anybody else?
Nikki's a foot zoner.
Me too.
But she brought up foot zoning.
Oh, cool.
Okay, let's just keep reading the questions
Okay.
and it'll come naturally.
The next question is, explain how each person's intuition comes to them differently. How
Okay.
does it feel for you when your intuition is speaking? And can you describe the feelings? And
Maybe I'd like to speak
Oh,
to it.
okay. For me to
Would
hold
you?
it?
Yeah. But I have to go on that side because otherwise I'll be dark. What does it feel like? Okay.
And what does it feel like? How does the spirit
I wasn't even
speak?
going to be in it, but.
How does the spirit speak to you? And
Okay. My glasses are so dirty. That's okay. Just show up. Okay. Okay, let me just think of an example that I can share. When I was having my children, I had 5 children, and the second baby, I ended up having a cesarean section. It was an unplanned cesarean, and I was really sad about it because I was looking forward to having a vaginal birth. I had a midwife, and it just didn't work out. But I know it was all divinely orchestrated because from that, and from the challenges of that, and from the seeking that created in me, I had to seek out new answers when I got pregnant again because I didn't want to have another cesarean. I remember distinctly being in the recovery room after my cesarean, and my son had been taken away, and he'd been taken up to my husband, but I had to stay for a whole hour in this recovery room without my son. That was one of the most painful hours of my life. And I would never allow that to happen again. So when I got pregnant again and realized that no one was willing to do my birth at home because I was a VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean, and I knew if I went to the hospital, I knew exactly what would happen there. They had policies. They gave you an IV as soon as you came in. There was all these policies. It was very strict. So I had to be so strong. I prayed. I walked. I meditated. I went to the Lord for guidance. And I was guided to a woman who taught me. She gave me a book called Silent Knife. And I did do a lot of research, and I realized that a lot of the things that people believed and a lot of the fear around having a vaginal birth after a C-section was not founded in fact. And it was fear-mongering, a lot of it. And I didn't have a lot of understanding at the time, but I went on faith. I really trusted my heart. I knew the Lord was speaking to me. I knew the Holy Spirit was speaking to me. And so I actually couldn't even tell my midwives or my husband that I was planning a home birth, because they told me they would force me to go to the hospital. And that was, you know, kind of an unusual circumstance at the time. But I labored, and I labored at home. And when I was ready I knew I was ready to have the baby, I phoned my midwives, but it was too late for them to take me to the hospital. So that was my third baby, and I became a midwife after that, because I was so convicted that this was important, that there was people out there to help women who'd had cesarean sections who wanted to have vaginal births. And I can proudly say that I have assisted hundreds of women to have VBACs. And I had one of the busiest VBAC practices in Seattle, and people would transfer to me all the time because my statistics were so good for vaginal birth after cesarean. And I have had 3 VBACs myself, and I went on to have 2 which were mostly unassisted births, but I had midwives who would travel out, you know, and come to my house at the end, you know, and help me have the baby. But I just lived in an area where there wasn't midwives, so it was, you know, this is 35 years ago. So this is before we had the opportunity to have midwives really who would help us at home with VBACs. And so that's why I became a midwife. And so I just think every mother should have the opportunity of having an amazing experience. And I've had 3 amazing home births. And I don't think it matters where you have your baby. You can have it in the hospital, a birth center, or at home. And you can create a peaceful, wonderful place in that environment if you truly know that you're the sovereign decision maker at your birth, and that you are the person that has the stewardship over your own birth and over your own care and over your own choices. And so if we don't allow fear in, and if it comes in, we recognize it and we let it go, and we replace it with faith, trust, and hope.
Okay.
Here we go. And
I'd really like to hear you, and I'd like to hear Nikki too. So let's see if there's another question.
Well,
or...
I have something that
Okay, good.
I can talk about.
I gotta sit on something.
You can have this, I'll move.
No, I'm good.
So I do intuitive coaching, and one of the exercises that I do with people to help them get in tune with their intuition is first they think about a question that they're really having a hard time with, figuring out what their intuition is trying to tell them to do. And so I have them connect with their headspace, and I have them write down a list of things that they feel like is the best for this decision from their headspace. Then I have them go down into their heart space, take a deep breath, and then start noticing what they're feeling in their heart, and then writing that list down as well. And then they can kind of compare what's in their head and what's in their heart, figure out where there might be some fear, where there's obviously not some fear with your heart, and then being able to make an informed decision from your head and your heart. Because it's not like your head makes wrong decisions all the time. That's not true. Your head's trying to make you feel safe. It's a little bit has to do with your ego, but it's also just trying to keep you safe in this world as well. So if you can connect with your heart and your head at the same time, you'll find that really good sweet spot of having some good intuition insight. So that's my thought on that. That's a fun exercise to try.
This is awesome. I love it.
Okay, Nikki. You're on. No, you have to go over there and you say, okay, you don't have to. You don't have to. You have to do it only if you want to.
Okay.
And if you feel like it. Okay, what else? Is there any more
I feel
questions?
like I have something to,
Nikki,
That
when you
would
were
be helpful.
talking, this is what I felt like would be really neat. You were talking about the postpartum. You were talking about what you wish you had known.
Okay.
Would you
but
like?
the question hasn't come up yet.
I know, but.
Because I haven't felt like I wasn't in, like in tune back then. Or I
Right,
could have had a different experience, you know?
right, but I mean, we wanna
We'll
hear
come
about
to
people
that. I
that
think that's one of the
haven't
questions.
had a good
yeah.
experience too. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, so let's see. What is mindfulness? When you think of making mindful choices, what does that look like? So you just answered
Let's just
that.
keep going, cause
Okay.
actually I like the heart analogy too,
Yeah.
cause
How do
mindful
we-
is only
How do
one
we
part of it.
support other women who feel they may have failed in birth or pregnancy?
Right there, that's me.
Okay.
How do we support them? And
And-
do you have an experience you could share? If you're gonna share, go over there, Linda. Take your stool
I
with
need
you.
to try to figure out
Well,
what.
take your time. Does anybody have else? Faylene?
Or how to say
I
it.
could film you right over there, if you have anything to share.
What's the question again?
How do you support other women who feel that they have failed in birth or pregnancy? And do you have
A
an
lot of people
experience?
do feel like they failed too, which is huge, yeah, it's a big deal.
Well, a lot of times.
Wait a minute, now don't talk yet, girl.
Get over here. Get you.
All right, that's not gonna be good. Let me go. Do you mind if I sit there? I just have to have the light on her face.
Oh, sweetheart, I'm just gonna sit right here, okay?
That's perfect.
A lot of times women feel like they failed, and it's just part of our journey. We're just coming to where we're supposed to be, and to get there along the way we need to make mistakes. It's so very human, and we learn so much more when we're making these mistakes and when we're seeing truth after making a mistake.
So how would you help somebody who maybe feels like they've failed? Like, what would you say to them other than that? Was there something else you would say to them?
Well, there's the adage that when you know better, you do better, and it's really true. Don't judge yourself by the things that you didn't know, or by others' strengths. We're constantly comparing our own weaknesses to others' strengths, or our strengths to others' weaknesses, and we need to leave space for people to make mistakes. It's okay. It's okay.
You're so sweet. She's so awesome. Okay. All right. Okay, more questions? Or anybody else have, did you want to say?
Yeah, Nikki?
Don't be shy, Nikki. You're so articulate. You just taught that lesson, and she's taught the most amazing lesson.
Oh, awesome.
Now she's suddenly, it's because of the camera, don't worry about it. Look at Angie.
I'm right here.
Talk to Angie.
Okay, what was the question again? Because I had
How can we help moms that haven't, maybe feel like they failed
And
and
have you had an experience?
your own personal experience is the most powerful thing.
I know.
Crying is good. Crying is good. Let's just acknowledge that crying is really, really a healthy thing to do.
I think that as we, can understand the process of experience, of life experience, it's not always going to be what we expect. And so, sometimes we're just doing the best we can, but we don't have the knowledge to do the better thing for our situation. In my case, I was a baby, having a baby, pretty much. I was 19 when I got pregnant with my son, and just newly married, and it just felt so inadequate, and I didn't have the internet or good books to figure it out,
And so I just was relying on what the doctor said, and I just felt like I had to just, I didn't have a say. I just felt like I didn't know that I had intuition as a mother of what would be best for me. And so I have a lot of feelings and things throughout my early childbearing years, and that have just kind of been kept inside. And then as I've come to be learning from these wonderful women, and things just really felt like I failed, not only in my birthing experiences, but my mothering. And I've come to understand how vital it is to verbalize our feelings, and being able to express those feelings of loss or feeling of inadequacy, and how healing that is. And I think that's very important for couples to do that with postpartum care, especially, to be able to have the mother express her feelings. And with her husband, a lot of times there's maybe some issues between them, and just being able to work through those things together is so healing, and there's nothing worse for a relationship than to keep that inside. So I would encourage that, just that verbalization, getting with other mothers of the same age and the same experiences, and just being able to talk. And there's so much healing in verbalization.
See, you wouldn't have even, if you hadn't done that. I was just about bawling. I mean, I was starting to cry. I was like, oh, I can't, I gotta.
I hope that made sense. I don't know.
It did.
Yeah.
It was good.
Everything you say makes sense to me. It does. I love you. Thank you.
That's all the questions, really.
Okay. I feel like you're gonna say something else to us. What are you gonna say to us?
Well, do you want me to do this?
Yes. 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 Yes.
I would love that.
I want to have Nikki. Can you just move that way just a bit? I just want to have
Absolutely.
only her in the scene right now because.
Do you want this out of the way?
Yeah. Sure. Thanks. I could add. That's just a little bit. I need to be over here. Sorry. I just have to get the lighting
in the
just
way?
right here. And that just. Is there any way you could hold it up just a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
That good?
Yeah, that would be great. Then I can just get it in there. Yeah. Sweet. Okay.
So I made this little watercolor just for this. And
Can I stop you?
yes,
If you're looking at it, I'm not going to see your face.
okay.
So if you glance at it, but then your face is so gorgeous. I want
Oh.
to see it. Yeah. I got to see your face. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I made this little watercolor just for this occasion here. And it is just so beautiful to me, because this is how I think of women and womanhood, motherhood, is that we hold the universe within us. We are the ones who are the master creators of the earth and of the human race. And so I just wanted to share this to go along with what we've been talking about, and to know that you are divine and beautiful just the way that you are.
I want to get a
Can I
close up
say
of it.
one more thing?
Yes. I just want to get a close up of this. Okay. It's gonna be good.
This is gonna be good, girl. Okay, I gotta get closer to you though, because I wanna make sure I get you right on the screen.
I really love that painting, and because it's something, it's very healing for me to see that, because even as a young girl, I never understood the beauty of womanhood, of femininity, of the capacity that I had to create life. I didn't understand really the beauty of that. And if there's anything that I could do, it would be to help young girls to really treasure that part of them, because it really is so beautiful. And I love that painting because it's with the universe in her. It's so true, and I just hope that we can teach young girls just to really love that part of them. And I believe that will help with issues with feminine troubles as well. I think that stems a lot from that what's the word?
Information.
Well, just not understanding that role and the beauty of that. I think a lot of feminine problems and issues come from that.
It's the narrative they've been taught with their whole life, so we have to change the narrative.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So
Do you want to say
a beautiful
that?
thing.
You go ahead and say it.
Okay.
You don't have to say it like I
How
said
did you
it.
say it again?
Well, it's just that the narrative. They're taught that their whole lives, so they.
We're not taught that, you know.
They're taught
We're
the
not
opposite
taught-
of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think in my case, we just didn't talk a lot about that. And it really truly was something that was embarrassing and just a horrible part of my month. And as time went on, it became more part of my month. I would have 2-week periods, terribly, it just felt horrible to me, and I just did not enjoy that, you know. And I wasn't taught, but I think it was just generational, you know. And so I wasn't taught to cherish that, and that it wasn't something to be ashamed of or to be, you know, scared about. And so I think if we can just somehow train up these young girls and just help them to understand what a beautiful part of womanhood that is.
See, I wanted her to talk.
Can I touch on that part too?
Yes.
Like
You
the
want to
native part?
Yeah, let's get in you. You want something to sit on? You okay?
I'll be all right.
Everybody doing okay? So just go in to your hearts right now, because we're winding down. See if there's anything else you feel guided to say. And then we'll just finish up those, and then we'll have a circle, closing circle.
Get out of the way.
You're good. You're totally fine. You look great there, actually. This is a great angle for you.
In our culture, we celebrate our womanhood. When our children have their first time of the month, the ladies gather together and we do a ceremony, and we celebrate that womanhood for our daughters. We want them to know how special they are and how important that is. And all of the women, the older ones that are more wise, get together and they teach them and they talk to them about womanhood and about experiences, and they gather around them and help them, and it's such a special time. So it is the time to be celebrated. Womanhood is a celebration because women are very special in this world. They are the mother of the living. They are the ones that create the men and the women of this world, and they are very important. Our Creator holds them in high regard, They are the ones that are the gift to mankind. We are the gift to mankind, and we help balance that out. And that is our job. We need to know that we are of worth, that we do not need to feel shame of who we are. We know who we are in the eyes of our Creator. And as we continue to do that and we teach our children, then it becomes more important and apparent that our walk in life and our walk in beauty will be as our Creator created us to be.
Do you believe it?
That
I
was
kind of
so
want to say
cool.
something. Can somebody?
Yes.
Okay. I gotta have a drink though. Do I have anything? As we've been talking around the circle today, we've been talking about how we can empower young women to have more of a feeling of ownership over their bodies and a feeling of a sovereign decision-making ability in their own stewardships. And one of the things that I recalled as I was listening to beloved Janelle talk about the Native American traditions of honoring your daughter when she has her first cycle and helping her to feel really special in her womanhood. And that's one thing I did with my 3 daughters. I had researched it, I had studied it, I knew how I felt. My mom was amazing, but we didn't talk about anything, hardly. She put a little book on my bed about menstruation with the pads, and that's how I found out, you know. So I felt really kind of alone in it, you know. And so my daughters, this is what we did. When they started their period, of course, we were very open in my family, so there's lots of discussion. And we would plan a day together. We would spend the entire day together, my daughter and I. I'd get the other children cared for. We'd go out, we'd go for a walk, I'd go buy her something special, we'd go out for lunch. We did the whole day together, and we celebrated her womanhood, and we would go to the earring shop and make earrings together and just do fun things that we liked. So I just wanted to share that family tradition of honoring your daughters and creating the narrative of the beauty, like Janelle said, the beauty of womanhood, and that we celebrate when we menstruate. That's our bleeding means we can have a baby one day. So that's a blessing for us to be able to have our monthly cycle. So I just wanted to share that story. Okay. Anybody else getting inspired?
I think we need to go teach young women groups this.
We do.
You know,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Because, I
You could do a thing of it, couldn't
Yeah.
you?
And it can be very healing for those of us who didn't get that, you know. So I think that would be really, really good.
I can just say that my experience was a lot like Nikki's.
Because of the time that we were raised without the internet and without people. And I just want to do it again. I want to do it all over again. I want to get pregnant and be able to do it the natural way because of things we know now. So if this film can help anybody to really embrace their womanhood and become who, you know, and understand really who you are instead of just trusting in the medical field, to be able to trust your intuition and tune in to what your heart is telling you, and that's what I would want to share at this time.
I really, really want to hear from some young people, because we only have one young person on here. Like, everybody here's had babies. I want to hear from somebody who hasn't. Rebecca, will you talk? Will you say something? Come sit over here. Just say you haven't had a baby, you don't know what you're doing yet, but you're
Just
good.
say thank you, old ladies.
Say something to the young. You're more advanced than any of these women probably that are going to be watching this.
Or even why you want to do it.
Yeah, why are
Motivates
you
or
here?
Yeah. Where are you going to be a midwife?
What can you say to other young women that you know don't know as much as you and don't have the ability to be in tune as you, maybe they have something to learn from your experience of what you're doing.
I can say that even though I grew up, I don't know, I've been able to come to learn a lot more about the midwifery culture and the different, more natural things that are available to us now. My mother, I'm the youngest of 9. She had me 1 month before she turned 49, and it makes me so happy to know that. But she didn't have the opportunity of ever having a midwife. She always went to the hospital, and even though she never got that experience, she was able to teach me a lot of other ways with alternative medicines. And as I've come to find people that are more into holistic healing methods, I've come across several different midwives, and I've been able to look up to them a lot and realize what values and things really come with being a midwife. That's something that I greatly appreciate with everything that comes along with being able to really experience down-to-earth things of the way Heavenly Father created everything, the way the Lord created everything. He created everything in a natural way, and everything to work together and to benefit with everything around us. It's just all meant to work together. The things that we eat, to how we use those things, how we put them in our bodies, the way our bodies use them. It all works so well, and I can just say I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to know this now, and to be able to hopefully take it one day to help other people that are still learning or want to or are looking for these kind of things. And
What about in your own birth? Can you say about that? How you will apply this knowledge for yourself as you have your own children?
for me, I feel it's very empowering. I'm always taking little notes. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I do this. I'm gonna make sure I don't do this, because there's a lot of things that I feel like no one can have a perfect experience, a perfect birth, but you can still be happy with what happens. And as long as you have the peace and comfort that comes with it, I expect to just stay close to the Lord. And with what we've been talking about, intuition, it just is all there. We're entitled to have that intuition in our lives, to know what is best for us and what is best for our babies and our
Stop for a
children.
sec. Can you just say that last little bit? It was so sweet. No worries. What was I going to say? Go ahead. Yeah, there's something I was going to ask you about. It's okay. Can you remember?
Can you repeat it?
Yeah, repeat it. I love this, by the way. This is going to be so good for the young girls that are watching this.
You were saying something about what you
Oh, I know what I was
you'll
going to
do
say.
and what you
I was
won't.
going to say, will you give us just one example once you're done of something that you decided you want because of your research? Don't want or want? Yeah,
Well, I don't want.
you do. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
my
just
kids are
pause.
coming home from
I'm
school.
sorry. Okay. That was. I just want to take. Where's my camera? I just want to take a picture with
She's got
us.
it right there.
Oh, she had.
Okay, let's just.